The stars looked different from the observation deck of the alien ship. Reginald Foster pressed his hand against the clear viewing panel. After 20 years in the space program, he finally stood aboard an actual alien vessel. The diplomatic ship Harmonious Exchange had appeared in Earth's orbit 3 days ago. Now as Earth's ambassador, Reginald represented all of humanity. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Lieutenant Olivia Nichols joined him at the window. Her dark blue uniform was crisp and perfect. As military liaison, she stood straight and alert even when no one was watching. 4 months ago, we were still arguing if aliens existed, Reginald said. Now we're headed to meet their leaders. The ship moved silently through space. Unlike human vessels, it made no noise and had no visible engines. The only hint of movement was the slowly changing star field outside. Ambassador Foster, Lieutenant Nichols. A soft voice came from behind them. We will arrive at the reception area soon. They turned to see Zilkthur, their Valerian guide. Zilkthur stood about 5 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. 4 arms emerged from a slender torso and large golden eyes blinked slowly at them. Thank you, Zilkthur, Reginald said with a practiced smile. We're ready. The Valerian bowed slightly. Please follow me to the preparation chamber. There are some customs you should know before meeting the conclave representatives. They followed Zilkthur through curving hallways. The ship's interior was designed with flowing shapes rather than the straight lines and sharp angles of human spaceships. Everything seemed organic, like walking through the inside of a seashell. The Galactic Conclave includes over 200 species, Zilkthur explained as they walked. Each has their own customs and sensitivities. We have prepared a brief guide. In the preparation chamber, they watched a series of images showing proper greetings for the main species they would meet. Reginald paid careful attention, knowing that one wrong gesture could create problems. Why do you keep calling Earth a death world? Olivia asked during a pause in the presentation. Zilkthur's skin rippled slightly. What the humans had learned was a sign of discomfort among Valerians. It is a classification term, Zilkthur said carefully. Planets are rated by their environmental conditions. Earth has extreme gravity, weather patterns, temperature variations, and many dangerous life forms. Few conclave species could survive there without special equipment. So we're the odd ones out, Reginald said. You are unique, Zilkthur replied. The conclave has encountered only 3 other species from similar worlds. It is rare for intelligence to evolve in such harsh conditions. Before they could ask more questions, the ship announced their arrival at Proxima Station, the conclave's diplomatic outpost nearest to Earth. The docking was smooth. When the doors opened, they stepped into a massive reception hall filled with dozens of alien species. Reginald had studied the briefing materials, but seeing so many different life forms in one place made his head spin. Some floated in the air, others moved on multiple legs, and a few seemed to flow across the floor like living liquid. Welcome, Earth representatives, announced a tall insect-like being with translucent wings and compound eyes. I am Coordinator Frekna of the Welcoming Committee. We are honored by your presence. Reginald performed the proper greeting, touching his right hand to his forehead and then extending it palm up. The honor is ours, Coordinator. Earth is grateful for this opportunity. The formal welcomes continued for almost an hour. Reginald and Olivia were introduced to representatives from the conclave's leading species. They noticed that most aliens kept a certain distance from them. When conversations ended, the aliens would step back slightly farther than seemed necessary. Is it just me? Olivia whispered during a brief pause. Or are they all a bit nervous around us? I noticed that too, Reginald said. Maybe it's just first contact jitters. The welcoming ceremony moved to a large gathering hall where food and drinks were served. As they entered, Zilkthur gently guided them toward the back of the room. These will be your places, the Valerian said, indicating 2 seats at the rearmost table. You will have a good view of the proceedings from here. Olivia frowned. Shouldn't representatives from a new contact species be seated closer to the front? Zilkthur's skin rippled again. This is customary for your type of world representatives. You will be more comfortable here." Before they could object, Coordinator Vrekna began the formal welcome speech, and they sat down as directed. From their position, they could see the entire room. All the other species clustered toward the front, occasionally glancing back at the humans. "They're watching us," Olivia noted quietly. "Like we're going to do something unexpected," Reginald agreed. The dinner that followed was an impressive display of conclave hospitality. Foods compatible with human biology had been prepared based on the data Earth had shared. Some dishes were surprisingly tasty, while others Reginald politely sampled and discreetly left unfinished. During the meal, various representatives approached their table for brief conversations. Each interaction followed a similar pattern: polite questions about Earth, careful maintenance of physical distance, and quick departures. After dinner, they were introduced to the chief scientist of the diplomatic mission, a tall, willowy being named Dr. Nazrel from a species called the Lumina. "Your planet's specifications are fascinating," Dr. Nazrel said, blinking large, silvery eyes. "The gravity alone would crush most conclave beings. How do your bones not shatter under such pressure?" "It's normal for us," Reginald explained. "Our bodies evolved for those conditions." "And the temperature range," Dr. Nazrel continued, "from freezing to what would cook most species alive. Yet you endure it with minor discomfort. We have different comfort zones, but yes, humans can adapt to various climates," Olivia said. Dr. Nazrel's expression was unreadable to human eyes, but his voice held what sounded like awe. "And your history indicates constant conflict with predators and each other. Yet you survived and developed spaceflight. Truly remarkable for a Deathworld species." The conversation ended when Zilkther announced it was time for the humans to rest. They were led to private quarters designed to mimic Earth conditions as closely as possible. Once alone, Reginald and Olivia compared notes. "Did you notice how they react when we move suddenly?" Olivia asked, sitting on the edge of a bed that was almost but not quite like those on Earth. "Yes, and they seem fascinated by our physical abilities," Reginald added. "Dr. Nazrel talked about us like we were some kind of super beings." "And why are we always placed at the back of rooms?" Olivia wondered. "It happened at the welcome ceremony, the dinner, and even the tour groups. Always at the back." Reginald looked out at the stars through their room's viewport. "There's something they're not telling us about how they see humans. Something about being from a death world that makes them treat us differently." "Should we ask directly?" Olivia suggested. "Not yet," Reginald decided. "Let's observe more first. We're guests here, representing all of Earth. We need to understand their culture before we start questioning their customs." As they prepared to sleep on their first night in alien territory, both couldn't shake the feeling that there was much more to learn about humanity's place in the galaxy. Why did the galaxy's strongest species want Deathworlders sitting at the back? The answer, they suspected, would change everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. 3 months passed since first contact. Earth had sent its first civilian delegation to Proxima Station. The large space station orbited a star not far from Earth's solar system. It served as the main meeting point between humans and the many alien species of the Galactic Conclave. Dr. Patricia Wells looked out of the transport window as they approached the station. As a scientist who studied alien life, this was her dream come true. Next to her sat Alan Blackwood, who studied different cultures. Both were part of the first non-government, non-military human group to visit the station. "It's bigger than I imagined," Alan said as the station came into view. The structure was massive, shaped like a wheel with spokes connecting to a central hub. "Home to representatives from over 50 species," Patricia said, checking her tablet. "And now us." Their small transport ship docked at the outer ring. When the doors opened, they were greeted by a Valerian named Jigsaw, who would be their guide. "Welcome to Proxima Station," Jigsaw said with a formal bow. "We have prepared a tour for your group." The human delegation included 12 people from different fields: scientists, teachers, artists, and one chef. They followed Jigsaw through wide corridors filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in the air, others had many legs, and a few moved on wheels or tracks. Patricia noticed that aliens would move aside when humans walked by, giving them extra space. She had read reports from the diplomatic team about this behavior, but seeing it in person was different. This section houses our environmental research labs, Jigsaw explained as they entered a large open area with various workstations. Scientists here study how to preserve natural environments across different worlds. The tour continued through living quarters, recreation areas, and meeting rooms. In each place, the humans were shown where they would sit or stay, always at the back or the outer edge of any room. Is there a reason we're always positioned at the back? Alan asked Jigsaw during a break in the tour. The Valerian's skin rippled slightly. It is the standard arrangement for species of your classification. Before Alan could ask more questions, a loud alarm sounded throughout the station. Red lights flashed along the walls. What's happening? Patricia asked as aliens around them began moving quickly. Jigsaw's skin turned a pale shade of blue. That is the pressure warning. There may be a breach in this section. We must move to a secure area immediately. The guide led them toward an emergency shelter, but the crowd of panicking aliens made progress difficult. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound came from above, and part of the ceiling collapsed ahead of them. Several aliens were trapped under the debris, and air began hissing out through small cracks in the wall. Without hesitation, Alan ran toward the fallen section. "Patricia, help me!" he called. Patricia followed him as other aliens moved away from the danger. Under the debris, a bird-like alien with colorful feathers was pinned by a heavy metal beam. It made soft, chirping sounds of pain. "We need to lift this," Alan said, positioning himself at one end of the beam. Patricia took the other end. The beam was heavy, but Earth's stronger gravity had made humans stronger than most alien species. Together, they lifted the metal enough for the trapped alien to pull free. "There are more trapped behind that door," an insect-like alien called to them, pointing to a sealed doorway that had been damaged by the falling debris. Alan ran to the door and pushed his fingers into the small gap where it had been bent. His muscles strained as he pulled. Slowly, the door slid open enough for the trapped aliens to escape. Meanwhile, Patricia tore a strip of fabric from her jacket and used it to bandage a cut on the bird alien's wing. "This should stop the bleeding until we can get you proper help," she said. Emergency response teams arrived minutes later. They sealed the breached area and helped the injured. The humans continued to assist, carrying wounded aliens and helping clear debris. When it was over, Patricia and Alan sat in the station's medical area. They had minor cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. The bird alien they had rescued was in a treatment pod nearby. "You saved Kelnar's life," Jigsaw told them, approaching with 2 cups of water. "He is a junior diplomatic officer from the Araxi people." "We just did what anyone would do," Alan said, accepting the water. Jigsaw's 4 hands made a strange gesture. "No, not anyone. The beam you lifted would require at least 3 Araxi to move, and you did this in a low-oxygen environment while the air was escaping." Patricia shrugged. "Humans are pretty good in emergencies. Our bodies produce extra strength when needed. And you knew how to provide medical aid without proper tools." Jigsaw continued, looking at Patricia. "Most species would not know what to do." "Basic first aid," Patricia explained. "All humans learn it." Jigsaw seemed to be studying them with new interest. "I must report to my superiors. Please rest here." After the Valerian left, Alan leaned closer to Patricia. "Did you notice how everyone was looking at us during the emergency?" "Yes," Patricia said, "like they were surprised by what we could do." "And now they're even more careful around us," Alan added, nodding toward a group of aliens who had moved to the far side of the medical area, glancing at the humans nervously. Later that day, they were moved to their assigned quarters. The station's commander, a tall crystalline being named Vorex, personally thanked them for their help during the emergency. "Your actions saved lives today," Vorex said, voice resonating like glass chimes. "The Conclave appreciates your assistance." "We're glad we could help," Patricia replied. "Is there anything else we can do?" "No." Vorek said quickly. You have done more than expected. Please rest and recover. After the commander left, Patricia accessed the station's information network on her tablet. She searched for news about the incident and found that videos of the humans during the emergency were being shared across the station. One recording showed Alan lifting the metal beam, with a caption in the Conclave's common language. Deathworlder. Strength. Single human moves object requiring 3 Araxi. Another showed Patricia treating Kelnar's wound. Human uses primitive methods to stop blood loss when medical tools unavailable. We're becoming famous, Patricia told Alan, showing him the videos. But why do they keep calling us Deathworlders? Alan wondered. The next day, they noticed a change in how they were treated. Aliens still kept their distance, but now they bowed slightly when humans passed by. In the dining area, they were again seated at the back of the room, but servers brought them extra food and the best drinks. It's like they're afraid of us and respect us at the same time, Alan observed. During their remaining days on the station, Patricia and Alan tried to learn more about how aliens viewed humans. They discovered that Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, one of the harshest known planets to produce intelligent life. No wonder they're so careful around us, Patricia said as they packed to return to Earth. We're space monsters to them, creatures that evolved in conditions they consider hellish. But that doesn't explain why they always put us at the back, Alan replied. There's still something we're missing. As they boarded their transport home, they noticed their seats had been changed. Instead of being mixed throughout the passenger area, all humans were now seated at the rear of the ship. Always at the back, Patricia whispered, always watching us from a distance. Someone needs to figure out why, Alan said, because I think it's important to our future in this galaxy. The transport doors closed, and they began their journey back to Earth, carrying with them new questions about humanity's place among the stars. 6 months after first contact, Commander Samuel Hayes noticed something strange. As head of Earth's new Interstellar Relations Corps, he had access to all reports from human representatives across conclave space. He kept seeing the same pattern, mentioned over and over again. Humans directed to rear seating. Delegation positioned at back of assembly. Transport arranged with Earth representatives in aft section. Samuel tapped his desk thoughtfully. At first, he had thought little of it. But now, after hundreds of reports, it seemed too consistent to be a coincidence. He called Lieutenant Kate Murphy to his office. Kate had worked in diplomatic security and studied alien cultures. I need your opinion on something, Samuel said, when Kate arrived. He showed her the collection of reports he had gathered. Kate looked through them quickly. They always put us at the back, she said. Every time, every place. Exactly, Samuel replied. Is this normal diplomatic protocol? Kate shook her head. Not for honored guests or new allies. Usually important visitors are seated near the front. So why are humans always at the back? Samuel asked. I don't know, Kate admitted. But I think we should find out. They began collecting more information. They spoke with humans who had visited conclave stations and ships. They reviewed videos of meetings and gatherings. The pattern was clear. Humans were always positioned where other species could see them, never behind alien representatives. It's like they don't want us at their backs, Kate said as they reviewed their findings. Like they're watching us. Or keeping an eye on us, Samuel added. The question is why. Samuel got permission to visit Proxima Station with Kate. Their official purpose was to inspect facilities for future human visitors. Their real mission was to learn more about how aliens viewed humans. At Proxima Station, they were greeted by a Valerian diplomat named Krexvi. Welcome, Commander Hayes and Lieutenant Murphy, Krexvi said. We are honored by your visit. The honor is ours, Samuel replied with the proper greeting gesture. We look forward to seeing the station. As expected, they were assigned quarters at the outer ring of the station, far from most alien living spaces. During meals, they were seated at the back of dining halls. In meetings, their chairs were always placed against the rear wall. Let's test something, Kate suggested on their third day. I'll sit at the front during the cultural exchange meeting today. That could cause problems, Samuel warned. We need to see their reaction, Kate insisted. It's the only way to know for sure. Samuel agreed. When they arrived at the cultural exchange, Kate walked confidently to the front row and sat down. The effect was immediate. Several aliens stopped talking. Others moved away slowly. A few made what seemed to be distress signals to the staff. Station attendant rushed over to Kate. "Excuse me, Lieutenant, but your assigned seat is at the back." "I can see better from here," Kate said pleasantly. "Is there a problem?" "It is customary for your species to sit at the back," the attendant explained nervously. "But why?" Kate asked. "What is the reason for this custom?" The attendant's skin changed color slightly. "I must consult with my supervisor." The meeting started, 30 minutes late. During that time, staff members spoke urgently with station officials. Finally, Kate was politely but firmly asked to move to the back, for the comfort of all attendees. She complied, joining Samuel at the rear of the room. "Did you see their reaction?" she whispered. "They were genuinely upset. Not angry," Samuel noted. Afraid. After the meeting, an elderly alien approached them. He walked with a slight limp and carried a worn data tablet. His skin was grayish-green with patterns that looked like ancient text. "You caused quite a stir, Lieutenant," he said in a raspy voice. "I am Hrelnek, historian of interspecies relations." "I'm sorry if I disrupted the meeting," Kate said. "I was curious about the seating arrangement." Hrelnek made a gesture that might have been a smile. "Curiosity is valuable. Perhaps we could speak privately, not as official representatives, but as those who study cultures." They agreed to meet Hrelnek in a quiet corner of the station's garden area. The garden was designed to contain plants from many worlds, including a few from Earth that could survive in the station's environment. "You wonder about the back row policy," Hrelnek began when they were seated among blue flowering plants. "Yes," Samuel said. "It seems unusual given diplomatic norms." Hrelnek nodded slowly. "There is much I could tell you, but—" He stopped suddenly as his tablet beeped. He checked it and his expression changed. "I apologize. I am called away on urgent business. Perhaps we can continue this discussion tomorrow." But the next day, they were informed that Hrelnek had left the station for an emergency on his homeworld. "That's convenient," Kate said skeptically. Just when he was about to explain things, Samuel agreed it was suspicious. "We need to try another approach. Dr. Patricia Wells is still on the station, isn't she?" Dr. Wells was working in the xenobiology department studying alien life forms. When they met her in her lab, she was excited by their questions. "I've noticed the same pattern," she told them, "and I might have a way to access more information. I've been given limited access to the xenobiological database for my research." With Patricia's help, Samuel accessed restricted files comparing the physical capabilities of various species. What they found stunned them. According to these records, Patricia explained, humans are classified as extreme biological anomalies. Our strength, endurance, and damage resistance far exceed conclave averages. The files showed detailed comparisons. An average human was stronger than 3 Valerians working together. Human bones were 5 times stronger than those of most conclave species. Humans could survive injuries that would kill most aliens instantly. "There's more," Patricia said, scrolling through the data. "Our reaction times are twice as fast as the conclave average, and our ability to continue functioning despite injury is listed as alarming biological persistence." "They think we're dangerous," Samuel realized. "Look at this," Kate pointed to another file. Records of other Deathworld species. There had been 3 other species from high-gravity, harsh worlds that had joined the conclave before humans. All had been treated with the same careful protocols. One species, the Krivlax, had rebelled against what they saw as discrimination a century ago. The conflict had been brief, but devastating, ending with the Krivlax being confined to their home system. Samuel downloaded as much data as he could before their access was discovered and cut off. They were politely but firmly escorted back to their quarters. "We need to talk to someone who will tell us the truth," Kate said once they were alone. Someone who isn't bound by official conclave policy. Samuel agreed. They remembered Hrelnek, the historian who had seemed willing to speak openly. Although he had left the station, they discovered he had sent a message to their quarters before departing. The message was short. The Kisnoth trade outpost at Vega 6 has excellent Earth-compatible food. Visit when you can. That's odd, Kate said. Why would he recommend a restaurant? Samuel smiled. It's not about food. It's an invitation to meet him somewhere the conclave doesn't have official jurisdiction. Vega 6 is only a day's journey. From here, Kate noted, we could make it part of our inspection tour. They arranged transport to Vega 6, telling their conclave guides they wanted to check facilities for future human traders. The truth was closer now. Soon, they would learn why the galaxy's strongest species were always seated at the back. Vega 6 was not an official conclave station. It was a trading post where many species met to exchange goods without strict conclave rules. The station was noisy, crowded, and colorful. Alien merchants called out to visitors, showing off strange items from across the galaxy. Samuel and Kate walked through the bustling market hall. Unlike on conclave stations, there was no clear pattern to where different species stood or sat. Everyone mixed together, though Samuel noticed some aliens still kept their distance from the humans. The message said to look for a food place that serves Earth-compatible meals, Kate reminded him. They found it in a quiet corner of the station, a small shop with a sign showing pictures of fruits and vegetables from several worlds, including Earth. Inside, a few tables were filled with aliens of different species. At the back sat Hrelnek, sipping a blue drink from a clear cup. You received my message, the elderly historian said as they approached. Please, join me. They sat down at his table. A server brought them drinks that looked like orange juice but smelled like cinnamon. This is safe for human consumption, Hrelnek assured them. I checked the chemical analysis myself. Samuel tasted it cautiously. It was sweet and pleasant. Thank you for meeting us here. Away from official monitors, Hrelnek said with a nod. Here we can speak freely. We want to know why humans are always placed at the back, Kate said directly. We've seen enough to know it's deliberate. Hrelnek's wrinkled face formed what might have been a smile. Direct, like most Deathworlders. Yes, it is deliberate, but perhaps not for the reasons you suspect. He pulled out his data tablet and placed it on the table. What do you know about the evolutionary history of most conclave species? Not much, Samuel admitted. Our briefings focused on current biology and customs. That is the key to understanding, Hrelnek said. He activated his tablet showing a map of the galaxy with different colored dots. Most sentient species in the conclave evolved on worlds with much lower gravity than Earth, with less environmental variation and fewer natural predators. The map zoomed in to show different planets. These green dots represent worlds where most conclave species evolved, stable environments with predictable conditions. The red dots are death worlds like Earth, harsh, constantly changing, full of dangers. So we evolved under harder conditions, Kate said. That explains our physical differences. More than you realize, Hrelnek continued. Your kind doesn't fully understand how unusual you are. He showed them comparative videos of different species reacting to stimuli. The human reactions were dramatically faster than most aliens. Another video showed strength tests, where humans easily lifted weights that caused other species to struggle. What you consider normal we see as extraordinary, Hrelnek explained. A casual gesture from you could crush the bones of a Valerian child. Your reflexes are so quick that many species find them disturbing to witness up close. Samuel remembered how aliens often seemed startled when humans moved suddenly. They're afraid of us, he said slowly. Yes, but there's more, Hrelnek continued. Your endurance, the ability to keep functioning despite injury, to run for hours, to survive days with minimal sleep. These evolved on your world as survival mechanisms. But to you, they make us living weapons, Kate finished. Precisely, Hrelnek nodded. In the early days of the conclave, the first Deathworld species was not handled well. They weren't told how their physical capabilities compared to others. There were incidents, accidental deaths caused by what they considered gentle touches. The revelation stunned Samuel and Kate. Everything started to make sense. The careful distance, the constant observation, the back row seating. They want us where they can see us, Samuel said, not behind them. Most conclave species have instincts that tell them to keep potential predators in view, Relnick confirmed. The back row policy is a compromise between diplomatic courtesy and biological anxiety. But why not just tell us? Kate asked. We've been working with the conclave for months. Relnick's expression darkened. Politics. Some conclave leaders feared that if Deathworlders knew their true strength relative to others, they might use it to demand special treatment or privileges. Has that happened before? Samuel asked. Yes, Relnick said quietly. The Krivlax incident a century ago. They were the third Deathworld species to join the conclave. When they discovered how their abilities compared to others, some of them demanded greater representation and resources. And it led to conflict, Kate guessed. Brief but devastating, Relnick confirmed. The Krivlax were eventually contained, but not before several conclave worlds suffered great losses. Since then, the policy has been to integrate Deathworlders gradually, without emphasizing the physical differences. Samuel thought about this. So the back row policy isn't discrimination, it's fear. Mixed with respect, Relnick added. Many species admire your capabilities even as they fear them. A server came by with more drinks and food. Samuel noticed how the alien carefully placed the items on the table without coming too close to the humans. What about the other Deathworld species? Kate asked. You said there were 3 before us. The Gorthan were the first, Relnick explained. They nearly destroyed themselves before achieving spaceflight and have a deep cultural aversion to violence. They accepted their position and serve mainly as emergency responders and rescue specialists. He showed them images of large, heavily built beings with thick skin that looked like stone. The Marishi were second, he continued. They understood the situation quickly and negotiated special concessions. They now serve as security forces and peacekeepers throughout conclave space. Their images showed sleek, cat-like beings with multiple limbs and reflective eyes. And the Krivlax? Samuel asked. They remain isolated in their home system, Relnick said sadly, a cautionary tale that shapes policy to this day. The Krivlax looked almost human in the images, but with scaled skin and eyes that changed color. So, what happens now? Kate asked. Now that we know. Relnick looked at them seriously. That depends on you. This information is not officially restricted, but it is carefully managed. How humans respond could determine your species' future in the conclave. If we demand better treatment, we could end up like the Krivlax, Samuel realized. But if we say nothing, this misunderstanding will continue, Kate added. Relnick nodded. There is perhaps a middle path, one that acknowledges biological realities, while building trust. The Marishi found it. Perhaps humans can too. Their food arrived, something that looked like rice with vegetables, but with unfamiliar colors and textures. As they ate, they discussed options for addressing the situation. We need to report this to Earth, Samuel said. Our diplomats should know what's really happening. But carefully, Kate cautioned. If people back home feel they're being disrespected, humans are proud, Relnick observed. This could be seen as an insult rather than a practical arrangement. Samuel thought about the thousands of years of human history, filled with conflicts over perceived disrespect between different groups. This will require delicate handling. As they finished eating, Relnick gave them a small data crystal. Official, conclave histories of interactions with Deathworld species. For your eyes only. Thank you, Samuel said, taking the crystal. You've helped us understand something important. Knowledge bridges gaps between worlds, Relnick replied. I believe humans will find their place in the galaxy, just as the Gorthan and Marishi did. As they prepared to leave, Samuel asked one final question. Why did you decide to tell us this when no one else would? Relnick's face formed that almost smile again. Because I study history, Commander, and history teaches us that secrets between allies eventually become weapons. Better to share truths than risk misunderstandings. Samuel and Kate left Vega 6 with the truth they had sought, a truth that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the galaxy. Humans weren't being disrespected by sitting at the back. They were being feared and respected as the dangerous survivors they had become on their harsh home world. Now they faced the greatest diplomatic challenge yet, helping humanity understand that in the eyes of the galaxy, they were the monsters. The strong, resilient predators who had conquered a world that would kill most aliens in minutes. And somehow, they needed to turn that fear into something positive for Earth's future among the stars. The return journey to Earth was quiet. Samuel and Kate spent most of the time reviewing the information Relnick had given them and preparing their report. The data crystal contained historical records, biological comparisons, and accounts of previous Deathworld species in the Conclave. How do we tell people they're seen as space monsters? Kate asked as their ship approached Earth. Very carefully, Samuel replied. This could go badly if it's not handled right. Earth had changed in the months since first contact. New alien technology was being integrated into daily life. Trading posts were being built in orbit. The first human embassy on a conclave world was under construction. When they landed, they were immediately taken to meet with Ambassador Reginald Foster, who had returned from his diplomatic mission. Commander Hayes, Lieutenant Murphy, Reginald greeted them in his office. I understand you've made some discoveries during your tour. Yes, sir, Samuel said. We've learned why humans are always seated at the back. They explained what they had learned from Hrelnik and showed him the data crystal. Reginald listened without interrupting, his expression growing more serious as they continued. This explains a lot, he said when they finished. I noticed the pattern, but assumed it was some cultural custom I didn't understand. The question is what we do with this information, Kate said. Reginald thought for a moment. We need to discuss this with the full diplomatic team and government officials. But carefully, very carefully. Over the next week, a small group of Earth's top officials reviewed the information. Scientists confirmed the biological comparisons were accurate. Humans really were exceptionally strong, fast, and resilient compared to most alien species. It's like finding out you've been arm wrestling with children, one scientist said. What we consider normal is terrifying to them. So what's our response? The Secretary General asked during a closed meeting. Do we demand equal treatment? Do we accept being kept at the back like potential threats? Neither, Reginald suggested. We need a new approach. After much discussion, they developed what became known as the Human Protocol, a comprehensive set of guidelines for human behavior in interspecies settings. It acknowledged the biological differences while maintaining human dignity. 2 months later, Ambassador Reginald Foster addressed the Conclave General Assembly. It was a historic moment, the first time a human would speak openly about the elephant in the room. As expected, the human delegation was seated at the back of the Grand Assembly Hall. But this time, Reginald walked confidently to the speaker's platform at the front. He could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching his every move. Respected representatives of the Galactic Conclave, he began. I come before you today to address something we all know but have not discussed openly. The room was silent. We understand now why Deathworlders sit at the back, he continued. It's not about status or disrespect, it's about comfort and security for all. A murmur ran through the assembly. Humanity doesn't seek to intimidate, but we recognize that our very nature can be unsettling to those who evolved under gentler conditions than Earth. He activated a display showing the key points of the Human Protocol. Today, I present the Human Protocol, our proposal for how we can interact with the Conclave in ways that respect biological differences while building trust. The protocol included several major points. Humans would wear special indicators on their clothing to show they had training in interspecies interactions. They would move more slowly and deliberately in mixed species settings. In certain environments, they would wear strength-limiting exosuits. But we also propose new ways to use our unique capabilities for the benefit of all, Reginald continued. He outlined plans for joint emergency response teams, with humans serving as rescuers in dangerous conditions. He proposed special security, partnerships and exploration missions to worlds too harsh for most conclave species. "We don't ask you to ignore your instincts," Reginald said. "If having us at the back of rooms makes interactions more comfortable, we accept this, not as a position of lesser status, but as a practical arrangement between friends with different needs." When he finished speaking, there was silence. Then, slowly, the assembly erupted in the various sounds that indicated approval across different species, clicks, hums, flashing colors, and even some human-like applause. Coordinator Vrekna approached the platform. "The Conclave appreciates Earth's understanding and proposals. We have perhaps been less than transparent about certain biological realities." "Understanding must go both ways," Reginald replied. "We have much to learn from each other." Over the following year, the human protocol was implemented across conclave space. Humans continued to sit at the back during gatherings, but now by mutual agreement, rather than unspoken policy. New educational programs helped both humans and aliens better understand each other's evolutionary psychology. Joint projects were established that took advantage of human physical capabilities while respecting alien concerns. 1 year later, a ceremony was held to celebrate the success of these new approaches. Once again, humans sat at the back of the assembly hall, but this time with a new understanding of why. Ambassador Olivia Nichols, who had taken over after Reginald's retirement, addressed the gathering. "A year ago, we discovered why Deathworlders sit at the back. Today we choose to sit here, not separated from you but positioned where we can best serve. Earth shaped us into survivors, and now that strength protects our friends among the stars." As she spoke, the assembly hall displayed images from across the galaxy showing the new partnerships. Human emergency teams had saved lives during disasters. Human security forces had protected vulnerable species from threats. Human explorers had mapped worlds too dangerous for others to visit. "We may come from a harsh world," Olivia continued, "but that harshness taught us to value life, to fight for survival, and to protect those who cannot protect themselves." After the ceremony, Samuel and Kate watched as humans and aliens mingled more comfortably than ever before. Fear was being replaced by understanding. "Remember when we thought they were insulting us by putting us at the back?" Kate asked. "And now we understand it was fear all along," Samuel said. "Fear that's turning into respect. Who would have thought being space monsters could be a good thing?" Kate laughed. A new class of conclave ships was being unveiled, with special Deathworlder sections at the rear, compartments designed for human crew members who would serve as the last line of defense against unknown dangers. What had begun as fear had transformed into something new. Humans had found their place in the galaxy, not despite being Deathworlders, but because of it. They sat at the back not as outsiders, but as guardians. The strongest species in the galaxy had found its purpose among the stars, and when new threats emerged from the darkness of space, other species no longer feared having humans behind them. Instead, they found comfort knowing that the Deathworlders had their backs.